Yeah. So progressing towards the Purple Rain days, which you, Terry, Jimmy, uh, had said sayonara into your own production. And how did you decide to do something like that?
Well, things had gotten a little more difficult towards the end of the second tour, and just internally, and the whole camp was just things were not going real smooth. Let's just say there was a lot of division, and some of it was purposeful, and it just wasn't getting to be fun anymore. And I think we all thought we were going to have a little more involvement than we had at that time. And
Mhm.
Harry and Jimmy ended up getting fired over that the Atlanta gig they missed. And I finished out the tour, and I don't know if the tour was done in March or April. And tour was over, they got fired. And I just, it just wasn't as much fun for me. I think I went to one Purple Rain rehearsal, and I just, my
Okay.
heart wasn't in it anymore. And I just thought, this, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just don't want to do this
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, I get it. It was the ballet lessons you guys had to do, right? You said enough.
Yeah, right.
At least that's what I read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was no, I think it was an acting class
Oh, okay.
I went
Right.
to, but I mean, I was just, I
Yeah.
was out the
It could have
door.
been anything, right? Yeah.
Could have been anything. Yeah, I just couldn't see myself being there at that time anymore.
Right. And the band disbanded anyways, even after being on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah,
At that
I mean,
time. Yeah.
yeah, we had to put a band together for the screen, basically.
Right. So moving along to the great production, and we'll revisit some of the getting back with the time and all the things going on there. You worked with Flight Time, Jimmy and Terry, and tell us about their studios in Minneapolis before they moved out west. What was that like?
Um, well, when I first started working with them, we were in LA doing stuff, fly
Oh,
out,
okay. All right.
do they had gone out and just stayed out there, and they were trying to find some work, and they got some work with a band called Reel to Reel.
Mhm.
Did a song called High Hopes. I don't know if that's the first song they did. Uh,
I think
Climax.
Jimmy always says "Sounds of Blackness," or maybe that was the first big hit, "Optimistic."
Oh yeah, that was down the road later, but
Okay.
this is back in 80, what was it, 83, 84, right
Oh,
after,
okay.
the summer after they got kicked out of the band. And they flew me out to work on a couple things. I'd written a song with Terry, When You're Far Away with Gladys Knight, and
Mhm.
so they flew me out to record on that. And I had just been writing songs at home on a 4-track. I didn't know what I was doing. This before they asked me to do that. So anyway, there was a number of projects done out there, and then they ended up buying the place on Nicollet in Minneapolis,
Okay.
where they moved back eventually. But I guess before that, though, I'm skipping around here. We worked at a place called Creation Audio
Oh, right.
with Steve Weiss, and
Mhm.
did a ton of records out there. And when they had moved back here, they had done Change. We did the first Alexander O'Neill record. They did some SOS stuff there, just a bunch of stuff. And then at some point, they had things were going well enough that where they could buy their own building, their own studio. And then they moved to Nicollet Avenue in Minneapolis, and that's where the first Janet record was done. And that was the last project I had done with them, and I think Sherelle, but they were doing a ton of stuff. So
Yeah, of course, the big hit. There were so many hits off that album, Control. One of them, right there, our guy on the screen, Monte Moir, producing, writing, pleasure to fruition as far as writing that song. And did you intend it for Janet?
yeah, Terry said he said, looks like we might be doing Janet Jackson in the next few months or something. You have something. So I that was written with her in mind. It was I think the first thing I thought of was Michael, and I just thought something high energy, just something, you just kind of
Right.
get a glimpse of something, and I started there, and I had enough, time to do a couple tracks, and then we just used the one. But yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I wrote it and I just did a demo and brought it in, and Janet came. I don't know if she had just flown in or what, but we had. I remember giving it to her the song, and we just 4-track demo, and I was singing the reference guide, and
Hmm.
um, or no, it would have been the whole track, I guess, because I never had it done there. But I sang a reference over it. She came in Saturday. I think they gave it to her Friday. She came in Saturday, sang it, just nailed it. Sunday we did a few ad libs and finished up a few things, and I mean she incredible. Just came
Yeah.
in and knocked it out.
Yeah. Those were special times and great video, of course. And have you ever thought about doing an album of all the great hits and songs that you've done for other artists? Are there versions in the vault that you have behind you?
I have not, but I suppose that's I don't know how that would look. I mean, like
Hey,
me doing it, maybe. I don't know. I
or
suppose.
releasing the demo tracks.
Yeah, I don't think I have most of those because they're on
Oh,
little
okay.
4-track, and you
Right.
gotta get on a 4-track and then a cassette somewhere, and that was many.
What was a 4-track like? Because I worked in radio since '82, and I remember reel to reel, and we were getting the razor blade and splitting things to piece together stuff. What was a 4-track? Because I'm not a musician. What was that?
4-track was if you had a cassette player, that would be considered a 2-track because there's a left
Okay.
side and a right side,
Hmm.
in the speakers. And the 4-track had 4 different tracks, so you could record a guitar on one track, a vocal on another track, the drums on another track. But then if you wanted to record more stuff, you would have to bounce those 3 tracks down to the last track. So then you'd have 3 more tracks opened up again. And you could keep doing that and doing that, but then the quality gets worse and worse. But at least you could get some ideas down.
Right. Comes in handy.
Yeah, but you
Came in
go back
handy.
back to the '60s, and some of that early Beatles stuff was recorded on 8-track. I think that was 8 tracks. I mean, we had 4 tracks, but some of that stuff. I think the Taxman, some of that stuff was just 8 tracks. These old little,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember some of the Beatle records. You can fade out one side, and it was just be the music, and the vocals were completely taken out. I forget what songs, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. The early stuff. There could be
Right.
drums and everything in one track, the vocal in the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's early days.
So you've written and produced for so many greats. Did you the people who have recorded your songs and you've got hit records, which we see on the back on the wall, some of them. Did you search out these artists, or were they looking for you, or was it through Jimmy and Terry?
A lot of the early ones with Jimmy and Terry, they just had a lot of projects, and
Mhm.
um, at that point, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have been doing a Janet Jackson if I hadn't been working with those guys because they had gotten to a level where they were getting those kind of people to call them, and
Right.
um, so it was, a lot of it was just projects that were on the table and ready to go. And after I left them, I just usually get phone calls and just somebody inquiring to want to work, Denise Williams or the Juniors or people like that, and
Right.
uh, the Kurt Joneses, the Dejas, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Your
know,
buddy, he's going out on tour with Cece, I think. Going to
yeah,
Europe.
I think they're going to France in
Yeah.
February or something. They got to get,
Right.
yeah. It's been so nice about some of these projects. It's I met Kurt and I felt like we'd known each other our whole lives, and we've
Right.
become lifelong, like real close friends. So it's been it's been an awesome ride.
And you're on their records.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm lucky, lucky enough to be able to get to do this, and somebody likes it sometimes, and I'm still trying to do it. So
So you and Kurt first met and became friends. How did that originate?
I was in '86, I believe, and they had inquired to my management about me producing a couple songs.
Hmm.
And I said, sure. And they came out to Minneapolis and we did a couple songs. Maybe we did three, maybe it was three songs. And Kurt called the label and just said, I'd like to do a whole record with this guy. And so we did almost the whole record.
Okay.
A couple songs were You and I Tonight. I can't remember who produced that, but that became a big hit for them. That was on that record. But I think we did most of the rest. Ourselves, you know.
You have some other stuff that with Kurt you guys haven't released yet?
It might be a few things from way back when
Okay.
that I don't know if ever got totally developed or not, but you know, we kick around the idea of doing something here and
Yeah.
there.
He's still out in Texas, right?
Yeah,
He's been
Texas. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we, you know, we're good buds.